Greetings, comrades! Today we have a special game for you, the hot off the presses Supreme Leader from Card Culture Games. This title puts you behind the desk of a huge number of political leaders, both dictatorial and benevolent from history, and asks you to guide them to the seat of ultimate power. Will you guide your people into a new golden age, or ground them into dust? Let's have a look. First up in the box is the game's shorter rulebook, which does a pretty admirable job of guiding the players through the nuances of meta-oligarchy. Next is this cardboard playmat, which, as you'll see in a bit, is almost useless in the actual game. There are income cubes of gold, silver, and bronze, and finally, you have all of the game's cards. There are 3 types of cards in the game, though you wouldn't know it by looking at the backs. The cards themselves are oversized and feel great, though, so maybe I'm nitpicking too much. Let me set this one up real quick, and I'll walk you through. Supreme Leader plays in rounds, and the first thing that happens every round is that each player collects the income listed on their card. Right off the bat, an annoying thing is that the rulebook doesn't tell you how much each of the income cubes are worth. After glancing at the cards and their cost, it's pretty obvious that gold is 10, silver is 5, and bronze is 1, but I shouldn't have to figure that out on my own. Once everyone's been paid, the player with the most money buys as many strategy cards as they want/can afford. Generally speaking, cards are able to be played immediately, but don't have to be. Each card also has an influence value listed on it, and your leader must have at least that much influence in order to be able to acquire it. Once you've gone all the way around the table, you enter the deliberation phase. This is the meat of the game, where you'll make decisions and lobby for yourself to stay out of the UN. Yes, being relegated to the United Nations is a bad thing in this game. Once everyone's more or less decided this phase is over, I recommend setting a timer, friendos. People talk for a long time. You enter the elimination phase. After a quick countdown, each player points to someone they want to eliminate. Whoever gets the most votes joins the UN. Finally, an event card is drawn and resolved. The UN is a governing body in this game that gets one collective vote. Members can't buy cards and only get half their listed income. They must come to an agreement amongst themselves every round who to vote for. If they're unable to come up with a majority, then the UN loses their vote. Once there are only 2 players left outside the UN, they each give a passionate oratory to convince the UN to elect them Supreme Leader. That is, unless one of them can eliminate the other through the use of a card or special ability. So, does it work? It does, kind of. The endgame I don't love, as in theory it compels the player who played nice long enough to the ultimate victory, but in practice it's actually just whichever of the 2 players the rest of the group feels should win. It's kind of an empty victory-win condition for me because it has nothing to do with how the actual game was played. It's all about the people who can't possibly win just deciding who wins. It's literal king-making. My group loves games with cutthroat negotiations, especially since we've all learned that no matter what, you never trust Megan. I honestly figured she'd jump in there. She is, after all, sitting right over there. Maybe she just knows that I'm right. There's negotiations aplenty here, and none of them are binding, so feel free to Megan your way through this game as much as you want. At this point, I'm literally just baiting her to walk into the scene, but she's not going to because she has tolerance. Overall, this game just feels like an experience rather than an actual game. That's not necessarily a bad thing, as there is a structure here to play in. It's just that so much of the game is completely determined by what your players want to do rather than the actual rules of the game. I liked my time with Supreme Leader, even if it seems like I'm down at this game as a whole. It's certainly pretty, as the card art across the leader cards is attractive. Ultimately, I just wanted a little more from the game itself. It feels sort of like social deduction D&D, where you'll get out of it what you bring to the table.
I'm not gonna play into your traps, Nicholas.
Supreme Leader works as a fairly quick party game that has lots of social negotiation baked right in. It works less well for me as a game where you're in control throughout, but a little bit of anarchy never hurt anyone. Except maybe Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Let's go through our checklist, shall we? In the box, rulebook clear and non-gender pronouns. While the rulebook does a decent job teaching the game, there are a couple of weird items inside. It's not laid out particularly well as it tries to walk you through setup. It asks you to refer to future sections and then come back. Also, it contains the phrase, "Just like politics, everyone knows what you're packing." It does this in reference to certain cards always being played face up, but like, the whole point of politics is that not everyone knows what you're packing. Curious. There's also a whole section devoted to strategy cards that's just very confusing. Iconography clear. There's precious little iconography in the game, but what's here is obvious. Packaging well done. Not really. My copy was sent to me direct from a publisher with a promo pack of additional world leaders, and there's not a lot of room to add those into the box. As you can tell, they fit, but the box doesn't close well. Also, if Card Culture wants to continue to release additional leaders, they're going to run out of box room very fast. Apart from that, there's a baggie for the income cubes, and everything in the base game fits nicely. On the table, good representation. The base game's leaders only contains 2 female world leaders, and the promo pack adds just 3 more. While I get that the world of politics isn't an equitable forum, I would have appreciated just a few more to balance it out. Component quality. Decent. My previously mentioned qualm about the card backs notwithstanding, the card quality is very good, and the wooden cubes feel nice on the table. Replay value. Very high. While the bulk of the gameplay resides in the social negotiation, there's plenty of event and strategy cards to keep your games varied. Fun to lose. Your mileage may vary here. While there isn't player elimination, getting resigned to the UN is definitely a drawback that you don't want. If your group has issues with a perceived leader, that is to say a player that your regular group thinks wins all the time or is prone to deception, that player is going to have a hard time. Winning is based solely on player vote. At the end of an era, Supreme Leader is a fine addition to your high player count shelf and has some fun moments. I still prefer games like Secret Hitler, where the tension is much higher and winning is granted by playing the actual game rather than just a popular vote at the end. I will say that Newcomer Card Culture has done a great job with their freshman title, and it deserves a good look for players who love politics in all forms. I'm Nicholas, reminding you to help protect the game population. Always sleeve your cards. All right, this is when we do the board game review. This is the part of the board game review where I open the box and show you what's inside of the box, showing you the elements and components, which are different words that mean very similar to the same thing. Shut it down.
Ready?
Yeah. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed that video, please hit that sub button and check out all of our other offerings at goodluckhighfive.com. And please consider becoming a patron of the channel at patreon.com/GLHFmagic. And help us keep making reviews, videos, and podcasts for as little as $5 a month. We're also always looking for new games to review, so if you make games or you know a company who does and wants to have their game reviewed on Good Luck High Five, please reach out to us at glhf@goodluckhighfive.com and we'd be happy to take a look. You can follow me, Captain N the Game Master, on Twitter and Instagram at CaptainNGM, and follow the channel at GLHF Magic. Remember, please shop at your local game store whenever possible. Until next time, I'm Nicholas, and good luck, high five.